Good day and welcome to Love Your Detailer Day. It is a special episode of the RoadFS Owner's Pride podcast. And we're kicking off a fun day of love. Hopefully you had a great day of love yesterday, or you're soon to find the love of your life.
It's a continued thing. There you go. Dan's trying to come up with some hearts. And
my brother, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. How are you guys today?
It's a good day. We thought we'd get in the mood, set the lighting, and get everybody kind of, we need some Marvin Gaye background or something.
I don't know. I don't need much more of this with Jody in the room.
Yeah, it's all good. So
the end of that.
Now, that was quite the intro that you guys have there.
Yeah.
Who did?
I did.
Jody.
Very cool. Holy crap. You guys have been like everywhere to every training and like so darn many places. That was really, really cool.
Yeah. We just try to compilate them, from the years. That was what, last year?
Yeah, that was last year.
Last year. We'll have another one this year. So we're trying to be all over and do a lot of stuff, just like you. I mean, we see you all over everywhere, interviewing everybody under the sun. And
so for those of the people that are listening that don't know you, who are you?
Dan Williams. Dan E. Williams. I'm with Owner's Pride. I'm one of the partners, and I've been in the detail. I'm coming up on 20 years in the detail industry, as a matter of fact. Only a couple months away from when the very first pictures that I have of the very first car that I detailed for money, and I believe it was in May.
There you go. 20 years. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
So we've known you a long time. You've got the Owner's Pride podcast, and you've got, obviously OP has come on really strong in the last probably 4 years, I would say, just incredibly strong. And we got some of the other, you got Paulo in there. Who's Paulo? Do we know that guy?
Yeah.
Anyway, some of the other Owner's Pride people in there, Arjun Canatini
that's awesome.
So let's talk about, where you're at, where you are actually physically located, because you're not in Canada.
It looks
here
like
in San
he's
Diego,
on top of the world.
Woo, woo, I feel like it.
So
I did go to the top of the world last year. I went to Fairbanks, Alaska, and we were pretty darn close to the top of the world.
Wow, that's amazing. That's cool. So let's talk about your journey. I mean, you mentioned 20 years in it, starting out as a detailer. Now you're part owner in Owner's Pride. You have Owner's Pride podcast, which you have some great guests. So let's kind of talk about your journey.
I was in my early to mid 30s, and I was kind of starting to realize that being a rock star wasn't going to exactly pan out like I had wanted it to. And I was kind of tired of being poor. And I was waiting tables at Joe's Crab Shack, and I wanted a Rolex watch. Like, it was just like this thing that I wanted forever, but I could not afford it. So I started detailing on the side to make money to get that, which I actually accomplished that, and I still have it to this day. And then I realized pretty quickly that I didn't have to run around bringing people iced tea for $2 or $3 and going to get them some more butter. And I was at Joe's Crab Shack, man. I was in my mid 30s, and they were making me do the Macarena in front of people.
Hey, Macarena.
So you're like,
dude, I've had enough of that.
I've had enough.
Yep.
That's
So
enough of that.
I realized pretty quick that I could do a lot better. And then that started my journey in the detailing world. And it's taken me to places like I literally never thought that I would be when I started washing cars.
So what's the biggest change that you've seen over the past 20 years that has had the greatest impact on detail business owners?
Now, you would think that you just teed me up for this and we talked about it before, but you know what? It's going to be CRM. It is going to be a way to organize all of the business. I can go back and look. I used to use a month at a glance and a week at a glance calendar. Yeah. And a lot of the guys that I work, with, they're still using just writing stuff down. And there's no way that you can harness all of the power of all of that customer data and be able to run an email nurture campaign and a sales funnel and just know who your darn customers are, be able to reach back out to them. I think honestly that is the biggest thing on the business side of these. And then if I was going to say the other thing, it'd probably be the 21 millimeter polishers was really big, and ceramic coatings.
Yeah, those are probably the top three. And I would say I would alter the first one just a hair and say it's the people's adoption of CRMs. Because people for a while, like when Jody and I started this out in like 2008, 2009, people had no idea what they were. And we literally would hear, I don't need any of that crap. I mean, all the time we'd hear that. And now people are demanding things, which is great. I need this. I got to have this. I got to have this. That's great. That's perfect. But people's adoption of it, you know, the cell phone in 2007, when the iPhone came out, it just exploded. But I think that probably the thing that I'd see that's probably the most negative impact on the detailing industry is the lack of actual paint that cars are coming out with. They're so thin.
You mean it's a little
nothing
glaze?
there? It's, man, I don't even know how they can get it on that thin. But you know, and I think that the products are going to continue to innovate and do that stuff, and the quality, I guess, that's what I'm searching for, is the quality of things that are coming out, trainings and training centers, and people realizing that it's not just a bucket and a sponge, it's an actual business.
To that point, there are people who are leaving like college degree jobs in engineering or wherever, and they're coming to start a detail shop with paint protection film and ceramic coatings. Completely changed from when I started. There was no ceramic coatings. You know, if you did a $225 full detail and it took you 5 hours, that was a good day. That was a good job to have.
Yeah. And I didn't even know what detailing was. I mean, back in 1987, it's probably the first time I picked up a polisher. Was 1987. Basically, what quote detailing was once we got a car painted, you had to cut and buff it. That was just part of the process. It was all thrown into getting a car painted and restored. And so it was this thing you had to do. It was a checkbox. I didn't even know what detailing was. So I always thought, they're like, how long have you been detailing? I'm like, well, it wasn't detailing. I was spitting out cars that needed to be cut and buffed. But so did you own a detailing business, or did you just continue to do as a side job, or what did you do after you?
No, like pretty much everything that I've done in my life, I go full 100% all in. I realized that I could make more money, and like I said, I didn't have to be running around getting iced tea for people and doing the Macarena in front of people. And fully engrossed myself. Now that was back before Facebook. It was when I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a thing called Mobile Works, and it was a bulletin board service, or BBS. And,
Dude, I've never heard of that, but I know the bulletin board.
Yeah.
So
it was called Mobile Works, and that's what everybody would go on. And I learned really quick. You know, I made a couple comments, and people, I think they called it flaming back then, where they just jumped on you and roasted you. And I was like, ooh, I'm not a fan of that at all. But there was no Facebook. I mean, people were still putting ads in the freaking newspaper. I mean, in the phone book.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And people still do that. And I don't, there's still people that are out there, paying for ads at $1,200 a month to go out into the local. I get this little local rag that shows up for free in the mailbox, and there's still ads in there. And I'm like, it may be effective, but again, back to your comment, if you're not tracking where people come from somehow and where you're getting those clients, there's no way for you to know what's effective and what's not. I mean, are they coming from Facebook? Are they coming from Instagram? Are they coming from, your MailChimp or your, those kind of email blasts? And people need to track that stuff, because I think part of the thing is right now people are trying to expand their detailing businesses, and they're trying to do what traditionally was called add-ons, but it's just another service. So, I did interior detailing, and now I'm going to do paint correction because I learned how to do that. And now I'm going to do, ceramic coating, and now I'm going to do, and I think that with that, they need to understand, people need to look at what is actually making you money. if you're drawing clients in because you're doing a really inexpensive headlight restoration, but it's getting you full details, then it's okay if that's a loss leader. But you got to understand what that is and what the threshold for that loss leader is before it's too much.
I think, as I'm listening to you, right, I was thinking about McDowell's here in Boise. I mean, these guys are attuned to every single marketing lead that comes in. They track who it came from, what source, whether they created a work order, if it converted to a final sale, and they track every little bit, and they look at it every week, and they're going, all right, where do I need to adjust the knobs on my marketing budget? So maybe they're spending it in SEO or Facebook ads or Instagram, or they're paying referrals. I mean, the bench ads on the side of the road. But the thing that I'm just always impressed by them is they have a real weekly pulse on how their marketing is generating business. And if, to your point, if you don't have any way to track that, how do you know where your money's going for good?
Yeah.
If you can't measure it, you do not know.
No,
it's surprising. And I didn't have a CRM when I started. I didn't do a lot of the things right. And a lot of what we try to do working with people is try to help them get over those humps, those walls that I hit that I didn't know how to get over. And to be able to like actually show them the path to get there and to look at those analytics. That's absolutely one of the big things to show these guys.
Yeah. So let's talk about owner's pride. I mean, you're one of the partners, right? And you guys, like Rob pointed out, have come on pretty strong in the last 4 years. And as I understand it, Damian Gray has been the big driver kind of launching that. So let's talk about the owner's pride family and what you guys bring to the market.
So what's really fun about that, I used to be at another company, and I was a co-vice president of business development. And Damon Gray was one of my customers when I was at the other company. And when they wanted to have their own line of chemicals and bring on their own ceramic coatings, things were getting a little wonky there. Anyway, so it was a perfect time to get tapped to come and be a part of this. And it came with a minority equity position, which definitely, if you want somebody to work really hard, make them part of the company, because it definitely lights a fire under you even more. But gosh, we launched this company 3 weeks before COVID shut the world down. And I just remember what a scary time to launch a brand new company. And I remember actually pacing around in my backyard when everything was shutting down and talking to Damon. And he was, I think maybe from his military background in the Coast Guard and being a preacher as well, he just has a really mellow, even-handed way of handling stuff. And he really made me feel like everything was going to be okay. And by God, it was. It certainly is doing well.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a real parallel to what we did, because when we started, it was 2009, and the housing crisis had hit, and everybody was out of work, and nobody was doing anything. And we kind of, I don't know what it was, some kind of brain fart came in, and we said, hey, I know, let's start a company. So it's a similar thing. We paced around in our backyards, and I think that kind of adversity, it either makes you or breaks you, and once you can make it through something like that, so making it through 2008, 2009, making it through COVID and coming back even stronger. I mean, we lost 35% of our revenue overnight when COVID hit, but by the end of June, we had gained back the 35 and picked up another 20. So to be able to do that, I think that's one of the things that I really like about OP is the resilience. I'm thinking about all the people I know from OP in that family. Everybody has that kind of calm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anybody that's high strung. I mean,
the only person that's high energy is Paolo.
Well, that's high energy, but not high strung.
Right. He's not high strung.
I just think it's like it, because everybody that's involved in the OP family, from our the very first person we ever talked to that was part of OP is Jamie at J&G Automotive.
I've been working with him for years and years.
Yeah, he's fabulous. We love him.
Fantastic.
He's just a great guy. He's an awesome detailer. He's fun. you know.
He's got a great Instagram channel.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he's awesome.
And then recently, in the last year and a half, we spent a lot of time with Paulo and his family, and we're going to continue to be doing that. And it's some trainings coming up here. One of them in Canada.
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 Oh, Canada.
So let me ask you a question, because I think that is an important lesson for all of us to learn, is that in the midst of a crisis, how we respond determines our destiny. And I think that, you know, being able to, I mean, I get it, when I think to this experience, sorry, I'm kind of collecting my thoughts here, but I was watching a YouTube channel the other day. And if you guys don't know, I love sailing, I love surfing. And I was watching this sailing video. It's called Sailing the Vagabond. And they were having to leave Vietnam in a hurry, because apparently when you tell Vietnam you're leaving the country, you're leaving the country, and there are no options. The challenge was they had a brand new boat and they had a plan to go to Malaysia. So they're like, all right, we can do that. So everything's not tied down. So kind of in your business, you have this plan, you have this vision, you're going that way. Not all of the pieces are connected, right? And so they're also racing against time. And a lot of us business owners, we're racing against time because we're like, where are we going to get the money? Right. And so they head off on this trek, and they're coming behind them is a tropical storm, which normally you would just bunker down. But because they had to go, because they had no other option, they had to continue to sail. Now, a lot of us as business owners and individuals, as soon as the storm hits us, we turn around and try to fight the storm instead of going, all right, what do I need to adjust in my business, in my person, in my character to enable me to move forward with this storm? Because when you're sailing, you can sail in a storm, but you have to lower your sail. It's called reefing. You lower your sail so that you don't become overpowered by the storm. And a lot of times I think we as business owners, we get so caught up in fighting what's external to us that we're not focusing on staying on course, making the minor adjustments that enables us to move forward in a positive and profitable direction. And that's kind of what I hear, when you're talking about Damon and his leadership style.
Yeah. And if we're looking at it on as of all businesses, I think that it's called the survival doom loop. And you got all of these things going on and you don't know what to focus on. And I'm literally, that is the reason that we brought on the certification with Fix This Next coaching, because what we do is we give them an assessment and it shows what the most basic vital need of their business is. And we can focus on one thing at a time, make a plan to work on that. Because I think what the biggest problem for most business owners is they don't even know what the biggest problem is. So if we can identify what the most basic need is, and we can make a plan and agree to a realistic improvement, not I'm going to 10x your business in 10 days and you're going to have 10 million Lamborghinis and 10 million titties. And
I've seen that guy. He sent me an email.
There's a lot of those guys. I think
that is, I think part of the problem is that people want to believe that there is a way to do that overnight. That's an anomaly. There are people, you're going to see people in the detailing industry that were nowhere last year, and this year they're opening up their third location. And those guys are an anomaly. Go for it. They got the dials dialed in. But I think the real test of a business owner, like you're saying, and Jody's saying, is when something happens and you have to focus. We are like a top hat shy of a circus here at RoadFS. There's 4 owners. We have 13 employees. It's all over the place. It's crazy. We got kids. We've had kids that were 16 years old that work for us. We've got people that are way older than me that work for us. It's a circus. But when something happens, when we have some kind of adversity that comes into the business, we have a really awesome way of just focusing on what we need to do. We've had some really major storms that have come in at points in times when we just say, okay, what do we need to do? We need to do this. We need to shift here. We need to go. And we just go. We had we did a IDA webinar a week ago on running your business like a CFO. And not a lot of people knew or know that, you know, I'm usually the jokester, I'm the yuck it up guy, but I'm also the CFO of the company. And I am about as tight as anybody in the world can be with money. And a couple of years ago, I love lines of credit as a business tool to use when you need it. Make sure you pay it off. It's a great way to get credit. It's a great way to have stuff for investments. We had a situation where the bank took our line of credit away right after I had paid off almost $150,000, and they just gone. So one of the things through that adversity is we adjusted everything. And at this point, we're our own bank. I have my own accounts. I still have lines of credit, but we have our own accounts, and we made some major adjustments to where that money now goes to us. We have our
that
own
will
stuff.
never
That
happen
will
again.
absolutely never happen again. But I think that a lot of people, that would shut them down, and they would just they would recoil and just go into the fetal position, or they go into attack mode instead of that middle ground where you say, okay, yeah, this is uncomfortable, and we can come in here, we can talk about how horrible it is, and gosh, we're picked on and all that stuff. But then you step outside of the door and you say, what do I need to do to make this better? And how do I continue to make this business work? Because we don't look at it as if, gosh, this is great because Rod and Jody get to go all over the country and do fun stuff. We look at it seriously every single day. We have 13 people on the other side of us that we are their livelihood. We put their kids through school. We are their car payments, their house payments, the food on their table. It is our responsibility to continue to have this business run so that they have a livelihood.
And knee-jerk reactions are generally not going to usually be too good anyway. You know?
Yes. Yeah. I.e. the flaming thing, don't do it.
So one of the things that I know you guys, Owner's Pride, is working on actively, especially with Paolo, is you guys are doing a lot of training stuff.
So we're launching our paint protection film initiative, and kind of hand in hand with that, we're really amping up the training classes that we have. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of tricks up our sleeve where we probably are going to try to offer training classes all around the United States, not just in our one location, to make it as easy as possible for people to get there. You know, take out the barriers of maybe flying to Florida is a pain in the butt, and you live in the Pacific Northwest. So if we had a place there, yeah. So helping train people is pretty imperative. We just had a great class here in San Diego. Jamie Gonzalez was here. Shad, the new president of the IDA. We had Tom McDonald from Lake Country. And so we're going to be doing some more of the detail trainings as well. I look for New York City, New Jersey. I have a shop up there that's been hounding me to get up there.
And I think that's the key. That is the key, because so many times people open up. It's kind of like a warehouse. If you think about a warehouse back in the 80s, right? I had to have a warehouse in New York. I had to have one in California. Got to have them all full of everything so that I can ship stuff out to everybody. Well, nowadays it's different. It's more of a just in time, and training is adjusting that same way. So if you can have a training in California, you can draw the people from the West Coast and have one over on the East Coast, have one in the middle. We do the same thing with servers, technology. We spread them out all over the world. You know, the one thing I will tell you from my perspective, because we do go to a ton of stuff. I think we have 14 this year alone that we're going to be going to for different groups. The facility you guys have in Florida is absolutely
beautiful.
Gorgeous. It is just gorgeous. That facility is
shout
wonderful.
out to Will and Mike. I mean,
that is
great
a
job.
cool facility. They opened it up at the end of MTE for an after party. They had its awesome special guest, this bald guy from Idaho that they had as a special guest, and it was super fun. So I'm excited about it because, you know, like I said, we've known Jamie Gonzalez for years, and he's talked to us about how cool the OP family is and all the products that, you know, and I think that is the key. It's not just finding a product that works. It's finding a group of people that are there to help you to succeed.
100%. no matter if you're looking for a software company or a marketing company or a business coach or somebody to buy your chemicals from, find somebody. And I say this all the time. At this point in the game, everybody's got a pretty good ceramic coating. Everybody's got a pretty good all-purpose cleaner. Everybody's got a pretty good. It comes down to branding, finding a company that has the culture and the branding that aligns with you and that's there to give you the support that you want. And make yourself the best you can with that. And I hope, that a lot of people look at our company and think, yeah, this is the one that I align with. We really try to help people grow their business, not just jam products down their throat.
Yeah, and I think that is the key there is finding anything that helps you out. I mean, you can take the same approach to equipment, there's a lot of equipment. You can buy it from anybody. You can buy probably 5 different brands of polishers right now off the top of my head.
Insane.
But are they going to service you? Do they have a good repair facility? Is all of those things come into play. The same is true with products. If you can get a hold of the products, hey, there's something wrong with this thing, Dan. It's kind of separated out. Oh, send it back. It's another one. Whatever it is, you need to find somebody you align with. Because I think that's the key to any business. I don't care if I run a copier store, right? Do I go with these guys or these guys? Whoever's going to help me make my business successful is who I want to go with. Because in the end, that's what it's about. It's about keeping your business where you want it to be, setting realistic goals and growing with it. Whether that growth is more cars or more employees, you got to be there to do that.
And if you think about it, if you're a detailer, you have to go out there and you have to earn your customer's business. You should absolutely, any of these companies, ours, anybody's, make them earn your business.
Yeah.
You can buy from anywhere.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you mentioned there is that, Owner's Pride is really focused on trying to help elevate the detail business owners. And I know that you guys have a little scholarship that you guys have. So let's talk about that, because not only is it designed to help, but it's also recognizing somebody that had a big impact on the industry.
Yeah, we had the Mack Gregory Golden Ticket Scholarship that we did at Mobile Tech Expo. And for those who do not know, Mack was, well, first of all, he was like really one of my best friends. I literally talked to that guy 2 or 3 times a day, every day. It was Angel called him my work boyfriend. So it was quite a shock when he passed away. I do miss our multiple conversations. If I was all heated up about something, I'd call him and he'd have that slow country Southern draw and he'd calm me down. But he passed away, and I called Damon, when we were looking at Mobile Tech Expo coming up, and I said, I remember last year when they had a scholarship award for Daryl and for Chris.
Yeah.
And, never in a million years did I think, while I was sitting at that table with Matt sitting right next to me, that the next year I'd be standing up and crazy how life works. You never know. Be a little more kind to everybody out there.
Thank you.
So I called Damon and I was like, hey, what do you think? Maybe we can do something and give away a PPF class. And he was like, let's go one better. Let's do airfare and hotel too. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's really big. So he threw that in, and then it was just a matter of calling Sheldon and Mobile Tech Expo and saying, hey, we want to have this thing to memorialize somebody. And I guess for all of us, if we met our demise, I would hope it would be neat if somebody did something to memorialize us like that and keep us remembered.
Yeah, and I think that the you said that slow Southern drawl. If you ever met Matt, he was not a small person.
Dude,
he was
had
a big
guns,
dude.
man.
His arms are bigger than my thighs, but he was very, very, like you said, very calming, and he fit in the OP family very well. So who won the scholarship?
Dale Miller from Southern Shine Detailing, and they're in Georgia, but I cannot think of the.
So he's got airfare, hotel, and a PPF class. And I think that is one of the most wonderful things that people are doing, that I'm seeing in the IDA, is people are giving away scholarships. You think about all the scholarships we have, and there's money out there. If you have a training class, Bernice Berry's putting on a training class for kids that is
Kids
just
coming aging out
unbelievable.
of the orphanage system. So, and from the Indian reservation.
So there's a lot of, like you said, be kind to people. There's a lot of kindness going on out there. There's a lot of stuff we can do. And Jody and I have been involved in a lot of those things, and we just continue to do it. It's not something that you don't, it's not the taking a video at the side of the street where you're handing a homeless guy $20 and saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's when you do that and you don't take a video of it, right? It's the people that we've done some giveaways, some pretty big giveaways, that the people that donated the products or equipment or stuff have said, we don't want them to know we did it. You guys take that as you did that. And it's been fantastic.
That was very humbling.
It's super
give you credit.
One phone call. I called them one phone call and said, hey, we're thinking about doing. Yeah, absolutely, we're in.
Yeah.
And I think that is the key to furthering your. People always talk about legacy and what you can do in a business, and that's how you can further your legacy, is to be able to give back. I mean, people ask Jody and I all the time, why do we do this? How come you guys go there? You guys, you pay the money, you foot the bill to fly all the way over to, like, when we're to go to Canada to do podcasts, because it helps the industry and it helps the people that are there. And I mean, yes, it's an ancillary benefit to us, right? It's soft marketing.
It's indirect.
It's indirect marketing, but we have met some of the greatest people. We've had some of the best conversations. We've been on some of the most awesome projects.
Dude, we are so amazing.
We are going to, one of these days we're actually going to do it. We're going to put up all the certifications that Jody and I have, and you would be blown away at how many things we are certified to do, because we go to these things and we get it. I mean, it's crazy, but we love being there, and we actually love seeing people's business grow. Just like OP, you would love to see my business go from 1 detailer to 2 detailers to 3 detailers. Yes, you sell more products, but it's really gratifying to be involved in watching somebody else succeed.
Yes.
And I think that's when you kind of become selfless and you get away from your, I got to make more money. I love watching our employees. We've got employees that have been here for 11 or 12 years that have worked with us for 11 or 12 years. And we've watched them get married and buy houses and have kids and send their kid. I mean,
E.T. driving up in his new Tesla.
Yeah, watching an employee drive up in a brand new freaking Tesla is awesome. It's awesome.
Well, have you guys had a mentor that's like helped you and like really leveled up your business? And like, what's your memory of that person? And
absolutely. And
that's an interesting thing, right? If I look back in my career, right, I'm getting up there. I turned 59 this year, so I've been in both detailing and radio and software for a long time, right? But there are only, in all of those years, there are only two managers that impacted my life. Right. And I think about that because there are men and women who come into your life in a leadership, mentorship role that can really have an impact on your life when they have a servant's heart. And I'm telling you, Randy Bailey from KOFY in San Francisco, he was one of the best mentors that I ever had in my life. Right. And it came from a place of truly loving the people that he served. I mean, he really loved the people that worked with him, and you felt that, and it inspired you to be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's interesting you say that, because when I think about it, I have had, I worked in I wrote software in the semiconductor industry for 7.5 years. And that's where I went from automotive to semiconductor to writing software, and then back to automotive and still writing software. So I had a mentor at a semiconductor company that I was the manager of. Her name was Linda Heller. She came from Heinz. She was a big executive from Heinz Corporation. She was absolutely fabulous. And I've learned to control it, but I have had a temper that is very, very short. And in the corporate world, that doesn't work. And she really, really helped me to bring that down and realize what was really important and what wasn't. And then I'm going to call a couple people out in the detailing industry that don't even know that they're that kind of mentors. Jody's one of them. I watch Jody and I really aspire to be more like him, because he is just that kind of a selfless person. If you share, let's say you share an Airbnb with Jody, he's going to give you the master suite. If you go on a trip, he's going to ask you where you want to eat. He just constantly is giving to other people. And I try to do that. I've done, I've thought about that. What it's my WWJ would be, what would Jody do? So,
All right, the love's strong today.
And then the other two,
And the BS.
as far as the loving your detailers, some of the people that I watch that I really have admired are some of the leaders of some product companies. Chris West, I love Chris West, just watching him run a company on his own because he's just a single operator. And the owners of both of Ian Ramelkamp and
that guy's
Carolyn
so humble.
and Jeff Hennon, the owners of the Rag Company.
So
I
humble.
literally use those guys all the time. And then one other guy that I have that I'm not going to mention his name. He's in the automotive industry. He's the CFO of a company that's about 100 million a year. And he has allowed me so many times to be involved in groups where you have to have a $50 million a year company to get into this group. And he's brought me in as a guest. He's allowed and mentored me in running our company. And
he's been
without those people, we would not be
great.
where we're at. Just, seriously.
Just an idea for you here. I'm going to throw it out there. Doing an interview with those people and telling them what they meant to you and how they helped boost you up if they're still around. Last year, I did an interview with my high school wrestling coach, who was that person for me. Like, I was never a champion while I was in high school wrestling, but I probably tried harder than anybody else on the team. And I never, ever quit, which is really carried through with everything, whether it's been destructive or constructive in my life. But being able to do an interview with him and tell him what that meant to me, and I'll be 55 here in a couple weeks. So it was a minute ago. Incredibly gratifying for me even to do that. So I don't know. I think I would really, absolutely love to watch that interview with you guys.
I don't think sometimes people realize what they do, to affect your business. And it doesn't even have to be on purpose. It's just that you hear something or you see something and you can follow that. So mentors are great. Find somebody that can help you out, that you can bounce ideas off of. We've been lucky enough to, have a closed door where we can come in here and bounce ideas off of each other. But then we also have outside people that, Jody will say, hey, I'm going to ask this person because we need an outside perspective. We're too close to it,
Yeah. I think that's important, is having an outside perspective. Right. And it's hard because I think a lot of times when you're the business owner, you feel like you're walking it alone. I mean, one of the best things I did in 2018 was I hired a personal coach. Right. And I worked with him for 2 years straight. And he and I have now built just this incredible business relationship, but also a friendship. I mean, I can turn to him for anything, but he's really changed my perspective. And I think a lot of times we get so cocooned into our little world that just going, hey, can you give me your perspective? What am I missing here? And Rod's really good on that, because sometimes I'll come in and I'm like, dude, I'm like frustrated. I'm like, what are we going to do? And they'll go, all right, this is, maybe we need to look at it from this angle. Right. And sometimes, it's like looking through a prism. It's like the light going in, you're like the white light going in, and all you're focusing is on the white light. But when you have the right resource to give you perspective, all of a sudden it rainbows into all these colors and opportunities. And it took somebody with a different perspective or experience or talent to widen your spectrum so that you can make a better decision.
And control your emotions. I'll call Damon and I'll be heated up about something. And he's like, okay, why don't you take about 15 minutes and call me back with no emotion? And I'm like,
well, yeah,
right.
Oh yeah. Jody and I actually, we literally, I will walk in at this point and after spending as much time as I have with Jody, and I will say, okay, I'm going to get on my soapbox, and he knows I'm about to vent. And then when I'm done, I put it away, and I just, we can both do that, and then go, okay, now what are we going to do to fix it? And I think you need that. You don't, some people go and, scream into a pillow or take a baseball bat and hit a chair or whatever. Some people do destructive behaviors. And I think that is, you mentioned this earlier. I think that is a key to a successful entrepreneur, is not giving up. Sometimes that's in a destructive way. And sometimes you've got to get out of that, and you've got to see when you need help to get out of that destructive stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of help for people that are involved in drugs and alcohol and different types of really negative behaviors, but there isn't really a lot of help for, I'm just too emotional in my business, right? And so you've got Damon to bounce that off. I've got Jody. People, we end up being counselors for a lot of people, and I love it. I love the fact that somebody's willing to call us and say, "Dude, I just need to bounce this idea off you." I had a gentleman call me one day, and he's just trying to talk to me about whether or not he should buy a new truck. That's fine. He just needed a separate perspective.
You need a sounding board.
And I think that, as we're sitting here on Love Your Detailer Day, there's a lot of detailers that you can go out and do that. And
love you too, Diane.
Hey, Diane. So I think that's where you need to reach out to people. And I think I'm going to go out on a limb here as a 50-something-year-old man and say it's a male issue, right? We don't reach out a lot. Men don't reach out and go, "Hey, I need help," right? I'm just struggling with this.
I think in business, people often think that it's a weakness if you're doing it,
Yes.
but it's not. It's
No.
smart.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
it is. It is. It's you don't know what you don't know. Let hey, I need some help. I don't know what I'm doing here. Tell me what I need to do.
Yeah.
So
I had a thought and it totally escaped me, but must
I could hear it. It was like
it's just like
it went out the side.
It went out the door.
So tell us, back to like your trainings and stuff. Do you have your training schedule on your website? Is there somewhere people can go to check that out?
So currently we have the like 3 months of the PPF classes in Orlando on the website. Look for that to be expanding, like I said, kind of more around. As far as the other trainings, I really got to get myself. There's so darn many things to do, so many trips to take, so many places to go. I really just need to get on top of that. I need to organize my trip for next month to go to Indianapolis. I got a whole boatload of Indianapolis 500 people to go interview, like 4 really big interviews that are lined up for me there.
You got to tell me how you get involved with these people. That's
fun. You have some great guests.
Awesome high level guests that are just like crazy. So
with those race car people, I have a fraternity brother named Ralph Hansen Jr., and he's the CEO of Pegasus Marketing. He was Tony Holman's assistant. He was the president of my fraternity in 1970-71. And he was Tony Holman's personal assistant. And then he was the person who also started putting sponsorships onto race cars. He did the Kmart deal. He took Paul Newman salad dressing with Carl Haas and, Paul Newman to McDonald's and wrote that deal. So he very, very generously just connects me to a lot of people. Once you start doing those, you start getting a name in that circle. And now, I'm getting tagged in people's posts. Like Scott Gardner is one of the people that I'm going to interview. He was one of the crew chief on Helios team in 2019 that won the Indy 500. And like he makes a post and he'll tag me in that post. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's fun. Well, and it's because you've come at it from the angle of, what, I just want to help the industry. I want to bring interesting people to the table so that we can have a conversation. And it's really, the fun thing about doing a podcast, as we know, it's like every time we talk to somebody, we learn something new. Our mind and our opportunities expand, and it's just so fun to have a conversation. Just really fun.
I did a podcast at my last company too, about 150 episodes, and I'm about 250 into this one. You can't just talk about polishing paint and how to use APC for 400 times. So what we've kind of done is taken this piece of our tool and expanded it more into all things for auto enthusiasts. So we're putting our name in front of a lot of other people as well to grow the brand. And hopefully, I try to approach all of the interviews from a really curiosity position and ask compelling questions and do your homework on the people before you interview them, for goodness sake, so you can ask good questions. And
Yeah.
then
Well,
the
I'm gonna
hardest
say,
part that I've figured out, and this is
yeah.
so funny that it just happened like right now, is to ask a question and then just shut my mouth. Because if I listen to my really old interviews, I was running my mouth way too much.
It is. It's an interesting thing, and we get great people. Like Sarah's probably on
She
more than
always
everybody.
listens. We love her.
We probably should. But Sarah's great because she gives us insightful things like this. Yes, it is not just a male thing for asking for help. It's a stubborn thing. Yep, ashamed for asking. And it's kind of in the United States culture, we have basically said, you got to buck up and do it, man. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And that's one of those things that you have to kind of overcome that and go, I don't know it. I think that's where people have a hard time with a business. If their business, they go into business and they think, I have to know how to do everything. I have to be an accountant. I have to be an HR director. I have to be the trainer. I have to be the best polisher in the entire world.
I have to be
I
a
have to know all the
marketer.
chemicals. I got to clean the toilet. And the thing about that is you don't. There are people out there to do those things, and you are not inherently going to be the best accountant. Get one. Go get an accountant, get a bookkeeper, get somebody to clean the floors for you, whatever it takes to make you more successful. And I think that's where the product companies like Owner's Pride can come into it. Is I don't have to know, I don't have to experiment and have a problem. I can call whomever my mentor is or whoever my contacts are and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with this really soft pain. I'm dealing with this really hard pain. Hey, Paolo, I'm dealing with this weird, thing that I've never seen before. Have you seen it? And connect with people, Jamie Gonzalez or Shad Stoker, folks that have done it with the products that you're trying to do. And I think that's part of the reason that some of the groups in the detailing industry exist, right? So the IDA is set up to do that. Not a lot of people use the IDA's website to connect with other people from the IDA. But you should find somebody that you can mentor with and you can connect with that can help you out, and that will help you grow your business.
There's one tip that I would give everybody. If there's somebody in the industry that you really look up to, right, and you would like to get them a little bit of their insight, reach out to them and say, look, I've been following you, or I'm connected to you via this. I would like to take 15 minutes of your time, and I have 2 questions for you, and come prepared with 2 questions. I guarantee you, not only will that open a door to answering those 2 questions, but it will open the door to a new relationship that could really enhance your business. But I think a lot of times we're so like, gimme, instead of going, all right, let me really hone in on my question. And that way I'm respectful of your time and you're willing to give me of your expertise. And it's interesting because over the years, some of our customers, like Sam Laguerre, he called me last week. He said, hey, Jody, I'm having a struggle in this aspect of my business. What do you recommend? Completely, and he and I had a great conversation, 30 minutes long, and he bounced and he actually implemented one thing that I suggested to him. And he's like, Jody, thank you for helping me. Right. It doesn't take that much, but sometimes we need to swallow our pride and go, you know what? I need a little bit of help. And I think you are the guy or gal that can give me a little bit of direction. So,
When you said that you had a life coach, so we see a lot of people in our industry kind of offering services, be it like a marketing service or coaching services. But when you went to seek someone, what kind of qualifications did you look for? Did you just try to find somebody who was where you wanted to be, or with some kind of proven track record or credentials, which I think a lot of people maybe they see somebody's image and just what they're posting on social media, and they're like, I want to be like that guy. But maybe those people haven't done what needs to be done that you're trying to actually learn from. A lot of just ego.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because how it came about was my wife, as a Christmas gift, she knew that I love being in front of people. I love being on stage. I love talking. I love telling stories. I love inspiring and impacting people. I love that. So my wife gave me a gift of Speaking for Profit, which was, ET, Eric Thomas's one of his programs, right? And so I was in that program because as a gift. But in that association, they brought in my now business mentor and personal mentor coach, Sean Hart, as a guest speaker. And as I was listening to him, man, just what he was saying really resonated with me. So I went out and I looked at YouTube, I looked at Instagram, I looked at Facebook, and I looked at what he was talking about. And I'm like, you know what? I connect with him. So I'm going to engage with him. And I called them up and I said, hey, you know what? First of all, this is how I met you, right? You don't know who I am. I'm part of this group and you came and presented and I won. I just want to let you know that your message not only resonated with me, but it impacted me. And I'm wondering how I can engage with you. And so he's like, yeah, and he started talking to me and he threw out his figure. And at the time, I couldn't afford the figure. But I'm like, you know what? I just feel like this is important. And I dug in deep and I paid the monthly fee. And it was the best investment that I had during those 2 years, hands down. Right now, our relationship's kind of evolved a little bit, but it really impacted me not only on a business level, but it also impacted me on a personal level. And I think a lot of times as a business owner, we get so focused on the business of doing the business that we don't take time to invest in ourselves on a personal level. How do I make Jody better? How do I make Rod better? Not me making him better, but how does Rod go? How do I make myself better? Right. And being truly authentic with myself. And it wasn't until I was humble enough to look myself in the mirror and go, you know what? I have a gap. And in order for me to get where I want, I need to fill that gap either with elevating my skills, elevating my character, or maybe I need to rely on somebody that does it better than me and trust that they can handle that. So, yeah, it was, I just dug in, did some investigation, found someone I connected, and that's how it happened. And it's been one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah. And do your research and find somebody who's been where you're trying to get and can actually help you. It's kind of like that. Don't trust a skinny chef, or
That's funny. So
yeah, well, so on your end of that spectrum, Dan, I know that you talk to a lot of people. Do you have mentors? And I think I already know the answer to this, but do you have mentors that are outside of the detailing industry?
As a matter of fact, I was working with Walt Dabrowski, who is from the F&I world. When I was at my last company, I built an F&I program. And so I was kind of really involved in that world. And when it was time for me to change, to make a change in the career path that I was on, I could not see past the tree in front of me. I was just like, this is the be all end all. Never, like when a woman breaks up with you, there'll never be another one like you. And so Walt told me, he said, don't think of this as the be all end all. Think of this as a stepping stone in the path of your career. Number one. And then number two, he hipped me to Who Moved My Cheese.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
those two little tiny tweaks in my attitude opened the world up for me. And without that, I was just hitting a wall and I was under so much stress. I didn't know what to do. It was, so yeah. And he was outside of that world. And then another is Joe Powers. who I've talked to a few times, and that's one of Damon Gray's best friends from the Coast Guard. And he ran for Senate in Rhode Island, where he lives. Really nice guy, really nice guy. And he was the one who actually told me, he's like, I was having a lot of trouble in the original coaching that we were trying to do, because you can sit there and talk to people and tell them great ideas. What I was doing wrong was I was giving way too much information and way too much homework right out of the chute. Number two, I wasn't charging anything. And I was literally telling these guys, hey, don't give your customers anything for free, because free has no value. And really, these people were sitting in there and they'd shake their head, and then they wouldn't do the homework. They wouldn't implement and start a CRM and start, doing that, or a nurture campaign, or this, that, or the other. And then they just kind of start, Homer Simpson going back into the bushes. And then I'd see him paying somebody else $1,000 over here to go, like, posting that they're in this. And I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, those are two outside of our world that have really helped adjust my attitude and my focus.
Well, and I think that is the biggest key, is like we were talking about and Sarah was talking about, you were saying, and Joe, one of you said the word humble. You have to kind of humble yourself when you get to that. You have to realize, like you said, it's really hard for most people to go to somebody and say, hey, Dan, you've impacted my life in a really positive way. And I like the way that you do this. And would it be okay if I ask you some questions? There's a lot of people that can't do that. I started doing something that helped me a couple of years ago. And there were some people in the detailing industry that for years I just had, I don't want to say a grudge, but they just rubbed me the wrong way. And it was because of stuff that had happened 2008. And I just basically avoided those people. And so what I started doing is I started telling Jody, I said, I'm going to have a list, and I'm literally going to go up to these people and I'm going to just approach every one of them, and I'm going to become friends with them, and I'm going to just talk to them. And I've done it. It's really hard. And I've gone to everybody that has impacted me, positive and negative, and I've gone to them and said stuff. And it's so much easier not to carry that baggage and not worry about it. Even on a positive side, it's like, gosh, man, I really like the way that, Bob runs his business. I don't just sit there and stress about it. Just see if you can talk to that person. It's not hard. And it once you get over that and you humble yourself. And I think that's part of the problem in the detailing industry. A lot of people are very ego driven. We do something that, it's cool. We work on really cool stuff, but it's really easy once you get on the other side of that to just be humble and go into it and just say, honestly, it's just another car. It's just another plane. It's just another whatever. And some of them are fabulous and they look great and you did a wonderful job. There's always going to be another one. And there's always going to be something, whether it's a product or a training or a tool that comes out that makes it easier, faster, and better, So I think that's the key, is just, you got to practice those things. Go to somebody that's affected you in a positive way and tell them they've done it. That's a great idea to bring them on as an interview if they'll do it. So,
yep. And go connect with Dan.
Yeah,
man.
Go connect with Dan. He's a great, really, literally, I mean, in person, you're the same calm, great guy. You've got a lot of world experience in different things. And, so follow Dan, go to the Owner's Pride podcast.
Any final words of wisdom that you have?
Oh, well, also, if anybody is interested in exploring what we're doing for coaching, we're kind of open to working with anybody, and we make it very reasonable. We want to help people grow a business.
Awesome.
You could go to DannWilliams.com. DannWilliams.com is my website. You can take a free assessment. Whether you want to work with us or not, it will highlight what your most basic vital need is for your business that you should be working on. And you can work on it on your own. You can go buy Fix This Next, the book, which is, where I started to learn about this stuff. And you can work on it yourself. You can work with us. But just sitting there and hitting your head against the wall is not going to help you grow your business, relieve any stress, or make life any easier.
Yep.
That's awesome.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much, man. It's been a great conversation, a lot in the direction that we weren't planning, but I think it's what was needed to be heard today. So I will, in final note, if you want a great book for your business and for a person, go read The Dip, DIP by Seth Godin. It's a really small, quick read, and it talks about when to quit and when to recognize when you're in a dip, when you're in a cul-de-sac, when you're struggling, you feel like you're not getting out. It is awesome. So go check it out. But thank you so much, Dan. We always love chatting with you. Thank you guys for tapping in. It is Love Your Detailer Day. So much love from
mine's
the
a circle.
podcasters here.
Hey, it made hearts.
Oh, look at that.
Wow, check that. How'd you do that?
I don't know. I thought I made a circle. It wasn't even a heart. Make
Wow,
a circle.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Anyway, well, you have a great day, brother.
All right.
I don't know how that works. I'm gonna do it again.
That's funny.
Maybe.
Wow.
You just got a lot of love to give.
Ours
baby.
is behind us. So
Yeah, there you go.
you have a great day, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.